Ah!
Good. This will be fun to edit.
Panic, panic, panic.
Warning.
Warning, people. What's up, everyone? We are here doing a Q&A episode in the garage gym. About a week or so ago, I had put up a story on my Instagram asking for some Q&A questions. So make sure if you don't already, go and follow me over on Instagram. It's just Big Bryce Strongman. I'll throw those up here and there just so we can start gathering some questions. And we can kind of do these periodically, and you guys can get to know me a little bit better, as well as ask any questions you guys might have of me. So my wife is behind the camera today, and she will be reading me off some questions. We'll make sure to throw them up here as well. But yeah, let's see what we start out with. What's our first question? So first question is, how did I get into Strongman? So if you guys are new to the channel or you haven't seen some of the other podcasts that are out and about, I got into Strongman when I moved to Indiana after I had played football for a little bit. I was with the Cowboys for a very short time, and then I moved in with my now wife in Indiana while she was going to get her doctorate. During that time, I went and started working at a paper mill where my boss at the time had just kind of showing me Strongman. I was like, hey, you should try to get into this. So we actually both signed up for our first competition together. That was 2019 in the winter. So I did one that was just what is it called? It's not unsanctioned. That's what it is. I did an unsanctioned comp for my first one, got second there, and then went and signed up for my very first comp in the March of 2020. I did the open men then, and the day after, the state got shut down for COVID. I'm sure we all caught it while we were there. But yeah, so I haven't really looked back ever since. I did a USS Nationals once. I did a lot of other amateur comps, but we really focused in on trying to do things like the Shaw Classic Open. We did that for 2 years, and then I got an opportunity to go up to North America's, and I got fourth place there. And then it was really this last year where everything kind of took off. I ended up getting second at OSG, which led into a World's invite, and that led into Giants invite. I won North America's Strongest Man, and I did well at the other big shows that year. So we've just kind of been on a roll ever since. Question number 2 is, what is my day job? So I actually work for a county. I'm a land use and sanitary specialist. Basically what that means is I look at permits, I do code enforcement, I do inspections for septic systems, go out on inspections, all that kind of fun stuff. I really like it. It's something new every day. I really like the people I work with, so it makes it easy to go into work every day. Ooh, what is my favorite strongman or gym exercise? Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I really like doing stones just as an event. I guess exercise in general, though. I mean, I really look forward to deadlift day. That's always a fun one to do in the gym. So probably I would say deadlift. That's probably my favorite.
And stones.
Yeah, and stones. But stones is more of an event than like a training thing. So next question, what is my go-to energy drink? I really prefer Reigns, the gummy worm flavor. I'm actually trying to slow down on energy drinks at this time. I had done it for a while. I was doing pretty good. And then with the Arnold, I kind of hopped back on energy drinks for a little bit. So I'm going to be switching back over to coffee, cut those energy drinks back out, and just coffee and my pre-workout before I lift. Yes, I'm only allowed to have energy drinks during comps, and I happened to come back with a substantial amount of energy drinks when we left the Arnold. So really, I mean, it was from a comp. I'm just trying to make my way through them all. I am now out of them. So back to coffee. Oh, that's a good question. What is my best grip feat of strength is the question. I mean, I did get, what is that? I got a trophy for one of the King Kong events that I did for getting the highest. I think it was the 2-inch roller. I don't recall what it was though, what number I hit. I know it was decent. I think it was, I don't even know. I just remember doing really well there. I was like, oh, cool. I think I won it like overall. And then all of a sudden a big gorilla trophy shows up in our mail, and we had no idea what was coming or that they even had our address. It's just this massive. You see it. If you'll check out the Chalk Bowl podcast, it's actually one of the ones I have in the back behind me because it's probably one of my bigger trophies. So, but yeah, no, I've done like grip stuff. I was coached by Joel Dirks for quite a while, so we'd always do some fun grip stuff. I got to try to get back into that a little bit more, just to keep making sure the grip keeps improving.
Is that your favorite trophy, the King Kong one?
Yeah, I think that King Kong one is probably my coolest looking trophy. That Giants Live one is probably a very close second, though. That one is so cool. That one was cool too because we were coming back from the Giants show. We were going through security, and of course, when it was in my carry-on, it got flagged. So the guy had to take it out, and he was like asking me questions about it and stuff. And he came up and shook my hand and said congratulations for it and stuff. So that was really cool. Okay, so the question is, since I'm a home gym athlete, what is my best and my worst purchase for the home gym? My best purchase is probably that tower that I have now with the lat pull down and all those other attachments. Really, that's been a pretty big game changer as far as what we can do and what we can work on. And excuse me, honestly, it saves a lot of time. Before, I had a little Spud Inc. set up where I'd have to attach it to the rack. But unfortunately, with how tall I am, it didn't work very well, and the weights would always swing back and forth. So it was really more of a pain than anything else. So I definitely would have to go with that Titan pull down and cable machine. Worst thing that I've bought. I mean, I when I go and buy stuff, I really try to find stuff I can get probably more than one use out of, unless it's like real strongman specific. You know, I only got so much space, so it's important to make sure that whatever I have is pretty versatile and that it can get stored away pretty easily. To be honest, I don't really have a purchase that I've ever regretted in here, not yet at least. Everything kind of has its purpose, and I don't just get something just to get it or just to have it. I get it for a very specific reason, or because I really needed this, like, to work on a certain item. Even the original stuff that I had for the home gym, like the squat stand back when I was using that, I actually still have that. It's just disassembled just in case I ever need it in the future. All right. So the question was, how is it working with John on the nutrition side? Definitely with this last year being a bigger year, what difference does that make? I really think it's made a huge difference. I've struggled with that in the past of making sure that I'm properly fueled, or maybe even that I'm eating too much. With John, we really have hit a sweet point of, we know just how much food to give me enough energy to really hit those big weights and have a little bit of extra weight on me, and not quite get to the point where we're carrying way too much weight on me. Like I've competed at 430 before, never with John. And that's definitely something, if we ever were to get up to that weight again, I think that would be a much better composition. Right now I'm actually sitting right around 410. We did a cut following the Rogue, and I actually lost quite a bit of weight. I was right around 420. We dropped down to 385, and just even having that body comp to come back and put on the weight back up to 410. This is a completely different 410 than what I've been sitting at in the past. My digestive system's just very thankful for that as well. So it's been great. It's really, I wouldn't even say it's just at this level that you should be paying that close of attention to your nutrition. It really makes a big difference no matter what level you're at, just even from the day-to-day standpoint. So one question was also, how important is it for your partner to support your meal prep? Really, for us, Kaylin helps me out quite a bit on my meal prep. She really helps me with, like, helping me get, like, my ground beef and stuff ready. But realistically, your partner should support you staying to your meal prep, not necessarily helping you make your meal prep. Like, you should be able to handle that on your own. I do think, like, it's extremely helpful for her to do that for me. But I also know, like, I can very much just go and do my ground beef myself and make my rice and stuff. And it's really, the meal preps aren't overly difficult, so you should be able to put that together yourself. So the question was, what would I have guessed pre-Arnold my max deadlift was? Just a max deadlift in general, I would have said maybe closer to like the 430, 435 mark. We hit the 923 in training, which was about 3 weeks out from the Arnold. It does change since it is on an elephant bar. You get a different feel from it. So I'm very happy that we hit that 951. But I would say no suit max deadlift prior to Arnold. I would have guessed around 930, 935 probably.
So it surprised you a little bit?
Yeah, so it definitely surprised me a little bit that we did hit that 951. I know even when we were going over, when I say we, it was Wes and I were going over numbers for our third attempt. We had looked at either doing the 946 or 951. He kind of helped me narrow that down to those two options. And I just wanted to kind of take a little bit more of a swing and go for that 951. Just to finally be able to hit that high of a number. I know they had on the live stream that my PR was 970, but that was in a suit last year, so I don't really count that as the same type of max deadlift as an actual raw deadlift. I'm much more proud of my deadlifts that I hit outside of a suit. I'm not a huge fan of suits. If every single competition decided we are no longer wearing suits, I would be a very happy camper. Yeah, so we had someone ask, who is my strongman inspiration and why? I would say, like, when I was getting in, I'm not like a lot of other guys have talked about how they watched strongman growing up. I didn't really know anything about it until I started working with my friend out in Indiana. I had seen the Born Strong documentary and I was like, oh, that's really cool. But I was focused in on football at the time, so I didn't really look into it any further. I would say, like, just off the bat, just watching guys like Brian and Thor, guys who had like similar body types to me, it was really cool seeing how well they did and how good they were at the sport. And also how good they were at being ambassadors for the sport. So really, I would say those two really stood out to me as I was coming up through strongman of guys I was taking notes from. So yeah, I would say probably Brian and Thor. Great question. What was my 40-yard dash time? What is my 40-yard dash time? Probably like a full 10 seconds right now. What was my 40-yard dash time? That's a great question. I don't even remember. I'm trying to think of what did I hit on my pro day. I want to say it was right around a 5.2. And that was, yeah, when we were doing pro day training, probably right around a 5.2. And I definitely felt that wasn't as fast as it should have been. We had put a lot of work into it. So I think it was right around a 5.2. I ran just under a 5 in high school, but that was like 225-pound Bryce. And that doesn't matter. If I had to run a 40, who could I beat now? That's a good question, because I always feel like I might not be the fastest at the start, but like when my legs get cooking and I get about 20 yards out, like that's where I really start to make up my time. I think we need this as an event.
You would all tear.
Yes, we'd all tear our hamstrings. That would be the end of strongman. Don't listen to me, promoters. I don't know what I'm talking about. So the question is, what do I do outside of strongman? To be honest, strongman takes up a vast majority of my life. If I'm not at strongman, I'm probably at work, since I do work a full-time job. But like outside of that, I just like hanging out with my wife. She's my best friend, so we just do a lot together. We like watch TV or like we'll read our books together and stuff like that. I really enjoy reading. I used to read a lot when I was in middle school and then just kind of fell out of it. Now that actually it was my wife got back into reading more which then got me back into reading more. And I just started finding books that I really just enjoyed reading, and just helps take a break and like take your mind. It's something so different than Strongman and just life in general that it gives me a nice little escape to just sit back and relax and just read a story. And yes, audiobooks do count as reading too. I do flip back and forth. I will fight anyone on that opinion. Oh, yeah. So the question is, what are my favorite fandoms? So, as probably a lot of you people know by the interviews I generally get, big Lord of the Rings fan. That was a big one. I always watched that when I was a kid growing up. I had the extended versions, and I go and like watch the Weta Workshop versions. And I was like, oh my God, that's so cool how they made that movie happen. Since then, I have actually read all the books, and I usually do a re-listen on them. So just because they're so long, I don't have enough time to reread them. But they do have the audiobooks of Andy Serkis doing the books, who, if you don't know, is the gentleman who does Gollum, which is really cool. Other fandoms, though, big Star Wars fan as well. It's basically just space Lord of the Rings. So, it makes sense. Let's see. My book ones are really good, like big Red Rising fan. Big fan of the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. So those fandoms as well. Any big tattoo ideas? Stay tuned. I've got some that I have planned out. And yes, they are 100% related to my fandoms that I do enjoy. So yeah, I would like to have my nerdy tattoos sooner or later. I'm going to get them eventually. Just depends on where do I get them, and how long does it take me to convince my wife to let me get them? Question was, what is my favorite Pokemon? Probably a Charizard. It's a solid pick, really. I did grow up watching Pokemon. We would go over to, my grandma would pick us up from school. We'd go over and watch a little bit of TV post school. So I was actually more of a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, just because of the time of day we would get there. Is I get to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! So a little more biased against them. My wife's shaking her head a lot at me right now and laughing at me. So question was, what are my thoughts on the World's Strongest Man events? What am I excited for? What am I not excited for? Really looking at the events this year, I'm pretty excited for, I would say, all but one. One of them still haunts me from last year, and it's in the finals. So we will be giving it everything we got to make it into the finals, so I can have a little redemption on that event. I'm referencing the Titan toss, where I had a massive kerfuffle of throwing it, having JF yell at me from the sidelines, throw it higher, Bryce. And then I cued that as, I'm just going to throw it harder. It should be fine. And then I just launched him way further back, but did not go any higher. So believe it or not, strategy didn't work. So I'm training that one pretty well right now. But no, like things I'm excited for, super excited for a truck pull, super excited for the squat. I haven't done a truck pull since my very first North Americas, so it's been some time. I do have a truck pull harness now, which is awesome. Actually, we were just out in the road yesterday. My wife just sat in the car and put it in neutral for me, and I just took off running with it. So got to show off in front of the neighbors, which I'm sure they always have a treat seeing what weird stuff I'm doing now that the garage door gets to get opened again. So yeah, it was fun. I've got a buddy too that's going to help get me a truck from his nephew's excavation company. So we're actually going to be able to put a little weight behind it and get that form dialed in. Going to go see Wes here soon, and he's going to help me out with that as well. Squat, I'm really looking forward to, mostly because I haven't done it in a competition before. And I do think a lot of people just assume, since I'm taller, I'm probably not great at squats, but that's just been something I've always been pretty decent at. So very excited to show off what I can do on squats, and it's moving so well already. Honestly, I'm super excited for that event. Question was, what do I need to do to succeed at Worlds? I really think a lot of it is now I just got more experience. I think last year, that was my very first like big show. So a little bit was like being a little like starstruck a little bit of seeing like, oh, these are guys that I've watched for years and now I get to compete against them, and just the nerves of being on that size of stage, you know, it's a whole different animal too. And it's kind of weird because Worlds is a very different competition than the other ones. When you go there to compete, since it's very much, it is a TV show, and it's always something you kind of got to remember of like, oh, some things are just going to take a little longer. Like you got to time your warm-ups up probably like a little closer than you would normally do for the start, because you might be waiting for a little bit for that camera angle to get all set. It's just, those are experiences you may be aware of going into it, but you don't know how that feels until you get into it. So just getting that extra experience, I think we can be much more successful this year. I mean, we've gotten stronger over the year in general. So that always helps. It's just slowly getting stronger and stronger and not trying to rush it too much.
Well, there's a lot to learn.
Yeah. And that's a good point. There's a lot to learn. Every competition is different. So once you do a competition, you kind of get to learn how that show's ran, kind of the time frames you're looking at. Even just from like the media and the production side of some of these things, like Worlds, we'll go and we'll be out there like 2 or 3 days early, and we'll get like a call sheet of when we need to be where and that kind of stuff. And then you might go and do like we just did the Arnold, and that we were there like a day or so early. But it's much more, we got a 15-minute interview with Rogue, and then we got rules at night. Much more just straight and forward. That one is more to like, the event starts at this time because it's a live stream. So having a live stream compared to something that is going to be shown later at a later date on TV runs much differently than each other.
Which competition was?
So the question was, what competition was most surprising for the speed of which it was ran? Giant Sive. Absolutely Giant Sive. I do have to say, I think doing North America's twice before that Giant show really had me ready to run, because it's a very similar feeling to doing one of JF's shows, where it's you're warming up for that first event. You're probably warm enough to do the rest. So it's very much a like Giants. I think there was a few times where it was like, oh, we just got off. And now we're going right back on, or it's like that Viking press. I think I did a press under the Viking press practice thing they had in the back. And there's like, nope, we're warm enough. We're going to go. We're going to be out there in 10 minutes anyways. Let's run. So it's much more like, which I do think that's kind of fun, where it's like, you don't have those perfect warm up conditions that you might get at a different show. So it's very much of who's the strongest right now, like just in general. I think it's a very good test of just that overall readiness. So the question is, do I have any superstitions or routines that I do before comps? So I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Comment below. Who knows that?
Yeah, put a comment below if you caught that reference. Yeah, I'd say wearing my hat now is a superstition. I used to go back and forth on wearing it during comps, and then I didn't wear it for Worlds, and that went so poorly that I'm like, all right, I gotta wear the hat now. It doesn't matter. So now I always wear a hat, because now I'm just very superstitious that if I don't wear a hat, it's not going to go well. Which, you know what? Now that I say that, I didn't wear a hat for the dumbbell at the Arnold here either, and look how that went. So looks like I gotta keep wearing a hat. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Go check out the Chalk Bowl podcast. We just had another great interview with a special guest that you should be seeing drop probably towards the end of the week here. So make sure, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. We're going to get back to some Worlds training again this week. We'll probably bring you guys in for one of the training sessions. Honestly, if you want, drop a comment below on what sessions you're most interested in seeing, or like what events you're most interested in seeing. Honestly, with Worlds, there's 10 events basically that we're training for, and I don't know which ones you guys would prefer to see. So if you're just curious which ones, throw a comment below, and we'd be happy to show you guys what we got. yeah, if you guys got more questions, make sure to keep an eye out on the Instagram for another Q&A. You can always throw them here below. Most of the time, I'm pretty good with getting back to you guys on any sort of questions that you might leave in the comment section. So yeah, make sure you tune back in probably next week or later this week for another training session. Have a good one.